finding qualified medical staff here in the UK is an ongoing problem. But when you look at the number of African medical professionals actually working in Africa, the numbers are worryingly low. Sierra Leone is just one example, and a new report here in the UK has been looking at how the Diasporans can help rebuild a medical system in crisis.
Sierra Leone, a country of just 6 million people, is rebuilding itself. It was devastated by a brutal civil war in which tens of thousands of people died and half the population was displaced. It was a decade before peace was restored in 2002. Since then, healthcare facilities for people here have gradually been reconstructed. But there's still a critical shortage of healthcare professionals, including doctors, nurses and dentists. Elizabeth Conte is among those in the UK trying to change things. A nursing professional for over 22 years, she chairs a group called the Organisation of Sierra Leonean Healthcare Professionals Abroad. But it's also a personal passion.
When I go out on my own, on my holiday, I use few days of my holiday voluntarily to do teaching in nursing schools in Sierra Leone. I love Sierra Leone very much. I acquired my nurse training there, my registered nurse training, my midwifery training at a very high standard before I migrated here. And I think it is my duty to give back to my country.
We've come here for the launch of an academic study mapping the potential for Sierra Leoneans to participate in their healthcare system back home. And they've interviewed over 100 people as part of the survey.
At the request of the government of Sierra Leone, the report was commissioned by the International Organization for Migration. It compiles the views of healthcare professionals, from doctors to nurses, psychiatrists, researchers and midwives from across the UK. Produced by the African Foundation for Development, the survey revealed some promising results.
So what did we learn from this mapping exercise?
I think the report actually identified where people are, what their skills are. I mean, it's covered a lot of ground. It's very rich with information. It's told us that people do want to go, they seem to want to come together in a more structured way to have greater impact on the ground in a manner that will be more sustainable going forwards.
The government in Sierra Leone is showing keenness to encourage diaspora support, and while almost all of those who took part in the survey want to go back and help, there's a key reason more of them don't.
The main problem is about funding. There are a lot of people who are here now because of the high airfare to go to Sierra Leone. They don't go as often as some of us do. If you give them the money, like those in my organization, when you ask them to go, they will tell you they are ready to go and teach, to give back to the country, but they don't have money to pay their fares to go. People don't want to risk their job and go. They need that support from their employers for them to have maybe a sabbatical leave if they are sponsored and supported by any international body who can say, okay, we'll pay your fare for you.
The UK report is part of a year-long international mapping project. Similar surveys of Sierra Leonean healthcare workers have taken place in the US, Canada and Germany as part of creating what is hoped will be a unified strategy.
While we are engaging with the diaspora in the UK, at the same time IOM is working with the government in Sierra Leone, and the government is committed to try to do something to be able to link up closer with the diaspora. So the next steps are that the government will come up with a migration strategy, and they will also look into practical ways to see how they can encourage short-term returns of members of the community to come back and to help in the health sector.
The views and opinions from the UK and the other countries are now being correlated, and discussions like this help to address the obstacles raised.
So funding remains a major issue, but it's not just about whether the government and the diaspora can afford to work together, but rather whether they can afford not to. Joyce O'Haja, TVC News, London.